Hey everyone, it's Carl Hour from Carl Hour Photography. I'm getting ready to shoot a high school soccer game, and I thought I'd make a quick video about how I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to do. I've been debating on how to do these videos. Yesterday, I made a video covering really everything you need to know to shoot high school soccer, but instead of doing it that way, since we've got 2 seasons each high school year, and I'll be getting into some college and MLS in the near future, or back into it in the near future. I thought I'd talk about specific gear shooting a game with. Now, with high school soccer, I like to shoot with any soccer. I like to shoot with everything from a super wide angle lens for a remote camera to a super telephoto 600 millimeter. Today, for this high school game, I'm just shooting with a 300 millimeter on a Canon 1 series body. So using a 300 millimeter 2.8 lens, and actually what I'm using today is a really versatile lens. I'm using a Sigma 120 to 300 f2.8 lens. It's f2.8 across the zoom range. It's the only zoom in that range with an f2.8 aperture. So it allows me to get high shutter speeds with low ISOs and blurring out my backgrounds. Now, attached to that, I've got a 1D series camera. The 1D series and the Sigma work great together. They focus very quickly. The low light focus is great. And as you get into higher ISOs, if you're shooting late games, dark games, night games, the higher ISOs are great with the pairing. The only better lens than this 300 120 to 300 2.8 is the Canon 300 2.8 or the Nikon 300 2.8 for you Nikon shooters. But for what I want to do shooting with one lens, the zoom just works great. If I was out here with a Canon 300 2.8, I'd want to have a 70 to 200 on a second body. But right now, I just am traveling light today, and I'm shooting with one body. So with this setup, I'm going to get about a quarter of the field. Now, for soccer, you can do what you want, but I highly recommend you pick a spot and stay there. You pick a spot depending on your focal length. Where I am right now, I'm about, well, I'll show you where I am. There's the corner. There's the goal on the left side viewing the field. There's the 16-yard box. And then midfield's over there, and the other goal's way down there, and the benches are over here. I chose this position for multiple reasons. One reason is with soccer, you've got sideline officials. The sideline officials, typically, there's one on each side, and on this half of the field, the sideline official is on the other side of the field. So he won't get in my way. I actually, at this stadium, prefer to shoot at the other end of the stadium because I don't know, there's something about looking down this way and seeing the scoreboard in the background. I don't get it in the background as in many shots here, but I chose this side so I wouldn't have that official getting in my way. Now in Colorado, which is different than any other state I've ever shot high school soccer in, they do things different. Instead of 45-minute half, it's a 40-minute half. Instead of the official keeping the official time on the field, they use the scoreboard clock. And the side officials are not line judges. They are actually second officials. So they don't have a flag. They don't stay on the line. They will rove out onto the field and get in your way. The other thing to think about is you don't want to stand. And I'm a big proponent of this on any level of youth sports. Don't stand. A lot of times you'll be taller than the athletes, and when you stand and you're shooting down on them, it makes them look smaller. There is a time to shoot down, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I have a stool that I use for every level of soccer, from youth, high school, college, to the professionals. I've had it for nearly 5 years. It's my second or third stool. I get it at Walmart. It's a little camp stool. Uh, it swivels, and it's the perfect height to shoot over the end fences at Major League Soccer stadium. Okay, another reason I chose it, and it just popped into my head. Another reason I chose this position, I personally like to shoot soccer at beyond the end line, looking down the field. With a longer lens, with a 600 millimeter lens, then I can get the goalie in the opposite goal box, and with shorter lenses, I can get all the action in front of me. But in Colorado, for high schools, for some reason, the officials just don't like you beyond the end line. So I stay on the sidelines. Now, with the 300, and I'll take some pictures. There'll be pictures I'll be posting in here during the game, from the game today. And I'll show you how close I can get with the 300 when the players are in my quarter of this field. I'll also show some photos of when I'm reaching my limits, getting the opposite goal or action on the other side of the field. I'm shooting this game specifically with the intent of getting photos on this quarter of the field. Now, you're going to have times that no action seems to take place in front of you. And you're going to get the idea that, okay, you know what, action's on the other side of the field, I'm going to go over there. I highly recommend you don't. The reason is, the second you pick up all your gear and go to that other side of the field, the action is going to be right where you were to start with. Soccer is not a game you want to chase the ball. You want to pick a good location, and when I get my other lenses back from Canon and I'm shooting other games, I'll show you what I mean. With a 600 millimeter lens, since I can't do the sideline or the end line in high school sports, I'll go to midfield and shoot at midfield. I can cover both goals. I can cover the entire field with a 600, a 400, or a 300, and then a 70 to 200. That's 3 bodies I'm going to be carrying around. Today, I'm just shooting with 1 body. I'll shoot both halves of the game. A lot of photographers, especially in the high school level, they'll shoot a half and then say, I'm good, I'm going home. Or they'll shoot a half and then half the second half and then leave. With high school sports, I tend to shoot the entire game because you just don't know when there's going to be that last second buzzer beater, the celebration afterwards. You can just get some wonderful photos in those last 10 minutes. So anyway, I'll give, what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to put a photo of the near goal up on the screen to show you how close I can get with the 300 millimeter lens. Now, I'm going to show you a shot at midfield. And now I'm going to show you a shot of the opposite goal. You see the difference in reach. So from midfield to my goal, to the goal near me, about halfway across the field, a little further than halfway maybe, just maybe from the end of the box over, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get images that are usable for just about anything I want. And what I want here are photos that will be sold to parents and potentially used for media use. The wire I'm shooting for CBS Max Preps. We'll do a video on CBS Max Preps in the future, but CBS Max Preps, I've been a photographer for them for 10 years, actually 11 years. This is my 11th season of credentials with them. And they do everything from selling photos to fans, parents, to writing their own news stories, and on maxpreps.com having news stories with photos. And then they also shop photos when there's special players, All-Americans, sons of famous people, athletes and stuff. or sons or daughters of famous athletes. They will do special things with that. We've had photos go to Sports Illustrated, USA Today, and newspapers around the U.S. So um, it's a wire service. It's part of the CBS Sports Network, and like I said, it's the high school division. It's maxpreps.com. Since I'm only shooting with one lens today, I'll talk about the videos I'm going to do in the future when I get a chance to. We'll talk about a soccer remote, the setup, and how to trigger it, and all sorts of different things. You'll see some images from it, and then we'll talk about using a 600 millimeter lens from the same position I'm shooting now to shooting from midfield. And then, okay, the other thing I want to talk about, I said sitting is the best way. Sitting, there's multiple reasons. When you're looking down, like I said, athletes look smaller, and with especially youth athletes, high school and younger, you want your athlete to look bigger than life. So sitting, even sitting on the ground, uh, is better than standing, and that's because you're now shooting up, and that makes them look bigger than life. Now, the only time that you wouldn't do that, let's say, I'm going to turn the camera around again and show you my backgrounds. Got a nice hill over there with a reader board and the scoreboard. We got some nice trees. We've got empty stands. I really don't like empty stands. Typically, setting up on the other side of the field would be ideal, but at this location, I'd be shooting into the sun if these clouds would clear. Keep going around. I've got another nice hill over there. The backgrounds here are really pleasing, but you can have youth sports that in your backgrounds um, you've got porta potties, garbage cans, parking lots, all sorts of things. They're just obnoxious. And even with a 2.8 lens, you may not blow them out of focus enough to keep them from being a distraction. So if you have a field that has a really bad background, you can go as you can see behind me, there's a hill. But you also have these bleachers over here. You can shoot from up in the bleachers up a little bit, and you're shooting down on the players now, so the players are going to look smaller, but the trade-off is your background is now the field, the playing surface, because you're shooting down on the surface. Down. So by doing that, you get a nice clean surface that is recognizable. High school level, it's just a regular soccer field. When you get to college and pros, there will be logos and stuff on the field quite a bit, and that's great because then you can show, uh, like if it's a special event, like if you're shooting a Major League Soccer game and it's a playoff game, they'll have playoff logos all over the place, and if you can set yourself up that you're shooting and you're getting that playoff logo in the background, that's a golden moment. Shooting with one body, even with the zoom on the 120 to 300, there are shots I'm going to miss. When the players are right in front of me, even at 120 millimeters, their body's going to fill the frame, and it's going to be. I'll get some shots, especially if the ball is bouncing and the ball is up near their head. That's great. Or if they're heading the ball or something, that's great. But if they're kicking the ball, it's very hard to get their entire body and the ball in the shot. And that's something else I want to talk about. I'll post another photo up here on the screen that has no ball in it. And this is one of the rare examples of a shot without a ball that works.
The reason this one works is the position of the player in white on the right. He's in the air. It almost looks like he's flying. And without the ball, with nothing else in this photo, without the ball, it would be a horrible shot. Yeah, I mean he's it's showing his athleticism, but there's nothing else there. But with the player in black, number 4, kind of cringing, it almost looks like the player in the air is going to hit him. And so, I mean, it's telling another story and doesn't need the ball in this situation. So that's why this image works.
Typically, with any ball sport, with the exception of baseball, having a ball in frame is super important. I'll get into baseball and softball and the reason why more into that video, but I mean, like if somebody hits the ball and they've got a great backswing, the ball's going to be gone, out of frame, so you can't really have the ball there, but you've got the back, so that's a consolation. But like in soccer, if somebody's just running without a ball in the frame, well, gee whiz, they're just running. The same thing with football. Yeah, I mean, you've got the football pads on and everything, and unless it's a sack or a tackle or a block that you're specifically focusing on that player, having the ball, having the quarterback with the ball, or the center getting ready to snap the ball, or a running back running with the ball, or the wide receiver with his hands out, and the ball about to land in his hands or in his hands, stuff like that, just that makes for killer photos, combined with great clean backgrounds and well exposed shots. So anyway, I hope this video has helped you some. I'll tell you right now, what I'm using along with my lens and camera body combo is a monopod. It's not really for stability, it's for, I mean, 2 hours, 3 hours holding a heavy lens kit can get tiring. So anything over 300 millimeters, I suggest using a monopod. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, hit the little bell to notify you when more videos go up, and until then, keep shooting.